anything can happen across this part of the area, as you can see. We're out here, actually, all of these props and dresses that you see in the window here are from the Addams Family movie, the actual props and dresses. So if you want to check that out, come down and check it out here at Macy's. And again, just about another less than a week or so, and Halloween will be upon us. Well, things may get a little spooky weather-wise tonight because the fog is moving back in. Check out the weather map with me, and you'll see that, well, we're still into that same pattern. The front is out to our west, and you can see that the front is still causing some showers and storms in the Midwest. But for us, it's just the southwesterly wind with warmer weather still in the forecast tomorrow. Just again, the overnight fog, as has been a problem. Satellite picture now showing you that the clouds are still out to the west, and there's that darker cloudy patch from New England right on down into Virginia. That's the lower clouds and fog that'll be moving back in tonight. Right now in Central Park, it's still, well, pretty mild, basically 63 degrees. Humidity high at 87%, a southeasterly wind off the ocean. The barometer is going up. 70 and 59 in New York City today. That's above normal. My forecast for New York City and the tri-state area, look for some clouds, and again, the fog's coming in. A bit spooky, and the low dropping to 59 or so in the city, some lower 50s in the suburbs. Tomorrow, looking at morning fog, and then, just like today, partly sunny, a bit hazy, high of 72. Here's your 5-day forecast, and look for a chance of a few showers on Sunday if that front comes by, but not a lot of rain, 73. And then cooler and drier, but not still overly cool, above normal in the 60s, with partly sunny skies on into Wednesday. And this costume courtesy, by the way, of Abracadabra, which you can find in the village. That's it from here. See you tonight at 10. It's starting to get down there now. Right now it is 60, the dew point at 59, a lot of moisture around, humidity 97%, a calm wind, 30, 32 the barometer, and it's holding steady. So you'd suspect with a calm wind and all this moisture in the air, you're getting fog in the area, and that's exactly what's happening. So very dense fog already out on Long Island. 60 at Mattituck, LaGuardia's at 60, and same for Mineola. Little cooler north and west, Vernon at 54 degrees right now, and Morristown at 53. All right, here's the morning shot. You can see all the low clouds and fog from eastern New England down towards us, and then it disappears, and now it starts forming again. But the real action, or if there is any action really in this part of the country, happening with these clouds here. There's some showers and thunderstorms for Michigan and Illinois towards parts of Ohio. It's a frontal system that's actually been sitting here for about 3 days. And because we've been locked into this nice weather along the East Coast, this front has not been allowed to move towards us. And that still will be the case tomorrow. 60s and 70s along the eastern seaboard today, even some 80s in the Southland, cooler across the northern states. And again, tomorrow, you see where that front is, it is not moving. So we'll have morning clouds and fog, just like today, then a nice afternoon. Eventually, by Sunday, this front will sneak on through, but it's very weak, just a chance of a few sprinkles. But a dense fog advisory overnight. Be careful if you're going to be driving. 59 in town, 53 to 58 in the suburbs. Fog in the morning that may delay your flight if you're going to be flying out of New York City tomorrow. And sunshine in the afternoon, 72 degrees with a southerly wind. There's the 5-day forecast with just a chance of a shower Sunday. I'm probably just doing that to cover myself, 73. Then it's cooler and drier Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but still those numbers in the upper 60s for highs are above normal for this time of the year. All right, this is the weekend you've all been waiting for if you don't want to travel too far, because peak colors from northwest Jersey across the city onto Long Island and southern Connecticut. Enjoy it, because soon things turn brown, and then white, maybe, as winter gets here.
Oh. Really? I haven't checked my checkbook lately. Whoa.
Is it going to last?
Yeah, it is, but we've had a lot of fog the last couple of days. We felt like we've been living more in London the past 3 or 4 days, but and it's foggy out there now, but there are some signs at the end of the tunnel for that. Let's take a look and see what's going on outside right now. After a high of 71 degrees, it's currently 60 degrees, 100% humidity. Fog's going to start soon, and there's a very strong but steady barometer. No precipitation, although it was so moist today. Well, earlier, no wind, moisture in the air, and we've had a lot of fog. Although we made up to near 70 degrees, this front to the north is where we see hope for the beginning of the week. But you can see that while it's clear across much of New England, from Connecticut, Rhode Island, across our area, it's very cloudy or becoming so. Fog has been dense, never got out of the coastal sections, and that's spreading on inland for the rest of tonight. But we're looking at the tropics. This is a 12-hour loop. Here's Bermuda right up there. Look at this thing spinning about. This is a cross between a tropical storm and an extratropical storm, somewhere in between. But notice that the thunderstorms are beginning to wrap around the center, at least more so. And I think they're going to send a plane out there tomorrow to check it out. And it's producing winds earlier today, 50-mile-an-hour gusts, and it's going to be a problem for producing some heavy seas along the coast of southern New England down in New Jersey and the middle Atlantic states the next couple of days. Low clouds tomorrow. I wouldn't look for too much sun. This front will come southward And by Sunday or Monday morning, it'll be right on top of us. A northeast wind will freshen and gradually dry us out a little bit. At least that's the hope later on Monday night, and Tuesday. Overnight tonight, though, dense fog again. It's already been present along coastal sections, spreading inland, mostly in the 50s. Tomorrow, there might be some breaks of hazy sun, but yes, a day like the last few tomorrow. And then chance of a few showers tomorrow night. 5-day forecast looks like this. We begin to break out of it Monday with temperatures into the 60s, and if we have no complications from that storm south of Bermuda and high pressure builds in, we'll have a pretty good stretch of weather coming up along about the early and middle part of the week ahead. And there you have it.
You're safe.
I am, for now.
You're safe.
Okay, coming up next.
Winds later in a few hours are going to kind of change to a west and push a lot of that fog back out. That will be after midnight, and then a cold front is going to dive down by tomorrow morning. So the fog will go away for drive time tomorrow morning, but the fog will be with us through the night tonight. And look at temperatures, 75, 58, 13 degrees above normal for this time of the year. All right, cooler weather is on the way, and here's the reason why. A cold front is out to the west of us, but that cold front now is spiraling off to the north and should drop back down as a backdoor front. You can really see the line of that cold front right here across the western portion of the state. It is beginning to dive down now and is indeed going to bring some colder weather our way, cooler temperatures as well. And here's the grayer clouds. That's the fog that is across the area. Some sprinkles have been associated with the frontal system, but not many. There have been a few light showers that are occurring now. You can see well west of here with the frontal system. Some sprinkles may be with us after midnight or into tomorrow morning. Here's a look at the satellite picture from the rest of the country. This is Hurricane Grace. Winds are very minimal. 74 miles per hour is the hurricane strength. It is moving off the Atlantic coast. It's 150 miles southwest of Bermuda, but it is still moving to the north. It will have some influence over our weather, but not much. Shouldn't bring us any precipitation, but we will watch it close because some long-range forecasts later next week have the storm possibly pulling back from the Atlantic into the northeast. This high-pressure system is influencing our weather. It's creating numerous thunderstorms all the way down the frontal system. But tomorrow morning, the front will drop down, and we'll have morning clouds and maybe a sprinkle. But by tomorrow afternoon, this high-pressure system will drop on down, and our temperatures will drop down, too, to 52 by drive time tomorrow evening, and cold, more chilly air will be falling in from Canada. Cloudy, foggy tonight, a few showers. Probably after midnight, you might find a sprinkle, 55. Now, tomorrow morning, some clouds in the morning, then cool sunshine by the afternoon, 63 the high, but that will be by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. A chilly wind tomorrow night. Here's the exclusive AccuWeather 5-day outlook. Look at Tuesday and Wednesday. Booyah-yah, doesn't that look good? Thursday and Friday, partly cloudy.
Earlier today across much of the northeastern states, but cool air is pressing southward, and that'll be in our forecast for the next couple of days. But down to the south and east, we have a hurricane to talk about. That's right, that area of disturbed weather that we mentioned. These are the 1030 position, 32-2 north, 68-8 west, moving toward the northwest. Circulation center is right there. Highest wind 75 miles an hour. Now, they mentioned on the satellite discussions that there's been some weakening in the past 6 hours, and eventually this will turn more north and northeast. But there's going to be a tremendous upper-level trough carved out in the western Atlantic, and that may actually become cut off. And that may capture this hurricane even as it weakens, and could be something that we'll have to be contending with, at least for marine interests, over the course of the next several days. But cool air will drive southward, early morning clouds, then gusty winds, low 60s, and on Tuesday, we will be hard-pressed to get out of the 50s. Heavy surf, some beach erosion, and we'll be watching what Grace does. Even if it becomes extratropical, it's going to be milling about for days and may actually come back to the west later in the week. Chance of that anyway. Overnight tonight, fog, brisk winds, not until morning, a shower in a few northwest suburbs, very remote, 48 to 53 perhaps by morning. Tomorrow, early clouds becoming windy, only in the low 60s, and much colder tomorrow night. And as the 5-day forecast shows, and as I just told you, we will not get out of the 50s on Tuesday with lots of wind around. Most of the stronger winds will be gone by midweek, and we're painting an optimistic forecast for the rest of the work week, assuming that Grace stays out of our hair, but we'll be watching, and of course Nick will too.
Okay, thanks, Alan.
Today, unbelievable, 75, not a record, but way above the normal of 61. The low was 58, nicely above that normal low of 47. Record high, 82 in 1963, and the record low is 28 in 1936. Let's look at our satellite picture, too, and we have to point out just beyond our picture here, this is the far western winds of what is now Hurricane Grace. It's about 160 miles to the west of Bermuda. There are tropical storm warnings in Bermuda. Winds of about 75 miles an hour at the center. It's expected to track to the northwest briefly for a while, and over the next 24 hours go to the north and then start heading to the northeast and away from the U.S. landmass. But Hurricane Grace, we'll keep an eye on it. You keep tuned. We'll keep you informed. 61 and partly cloudy right now in Central Park. We have somewhat dramatic weather in our area about which to talk to. Relative humidity is 93%. Falling barometer, southwest wind at 5 miles an hour. Look at these temperatures. Poughkeepsie is 62. Hartford is 61. Still in the 50s and 60s.
And clouds moving out from there. The frontal system is driving on through now and will push the fog out, and there's not much precipitation with the storm. The rain showers have been scattered and mostly to the north around Dutchess, Putnam County, to the north of Westchester, and this line of rain moving eastward at 35 miles per hour. There's still a chance as the front moves eastward for a sprinkle tonight and for the early morning hours tomorrow. Here's the satellite picture across the rest of the country. Heavy thunder showers down in Dallas today, 5 inches of rain. Chicago, a lot of rain as well. As cold air drops down out of the north, it collides with warm, humid air ahead of the front, and thunder showers are heavy there. Big snowfall now from Denver all the way into the northern Rockies. More snow will be there tomorrow. Some elevations getting as Wednesday and 50s, 60s on Thursday and Friday.
Good morning. Welcome to this Monday edition of AM Weather. I'm Wayne Winston.
And I'm Joan Von Ahn. Well, a change in the weather is on tap out in the west, and it looks as though we might finally get rid of the fog in the eastern part of the nation. Let's take a look at what's producing our weather. We'll get a look at the jet stream. We find early this morning the jet stream comes out of a ridge of high pressure over the Gulf of Alaska. It carves a deep trough in the western part of the nation, bringing wet and cool conditions to the west. Turns sharply north of the border then another branch of the jet comes out of the south and into the northeastern part of the country. Let's put this picture in motion. We find that cool and wet weather bringing some significant snows to the western part of the nation with that deep trough out in the west. In the east, though, high pressure in eastern Canada strong enough to push a cool front through the east, which will finally get rid of the fog after today, after the cold front moves into the eastern part of the nation. And then out along the Atlantic coast is Tropical Storm Grace, 32.3 north, 68.6 west as of 3 a.m., 220 miles to the west of Bermuda. Strongest winds 75 miles per hour. Let's turn our attention to our U.S. sequence of pictures, and we find a sharp cold front is pushing cold air into the north-central part of the nation, with another system moving across the central and southern Rockies, and a cold front back through the southwest. A lot of snow has been occurring with both of these fronts, with rain and some freezing rain at lower elevations. 2 to 6 inches of snow has fallen across Montana, but West Yellowstone picked up as much as 13 inches. And locally heavy rain fell in the lower elevations of Utah. Salt Lake City picked up 3/4 of an inch of rain, setting a record for the date. Strong showers and thunderstorms developed ahead of the front across the plains and into the southwestern part of the nation. A lot of severe weather with the front. Tornadoes were sighted both in Texas and in Mexico, along with large hail and gusty winds. Some very heavy rains as well. More than 1 inch fell yesterday at Abilene and Dalhart, 3/4 of an inch at Dallas, and Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, picked up about 1.1 inches. In the east, the stationary front is finally showing signs of moving, but yesterday record warmth continued from North Carolina into New York. Let's take a look at this morning's regional now. Right from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, we find a band of very heavy showers and thunderstorms across Oklahoma down into north-central Texas, just to the west of Dallas-Fort Worth, and light to moderate precipitation through much of the plains this morning. Let's take a look now at our national radar summary. You can see that front pushing across the plain states, the band of heavy showers and thunderstorms, tops to 52,000 feet in north-central Texas, just to the west of Dallas, 47,000-foot tops across eastern Oklahoma into southwestern parts of Missouri. If we move northward, we find rain showers extending into the Dakotas, tops from 25 to 34,000 feet. Back in the colder air, snow is falling, although not all of it shows up on radar. Let's turn our attention now to this morning's current weather map. Area of low pressure over the Maritimes with the stationary front draped across the Ohio Valley and into the Tennessee Valley. Still plenty of fog early this morning as the air remains warm and humid. Visibility down to 0 at the Tuxant River, Maryland, 1/8 of a mile at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, also down in Jacksonville, Florida. We find, though, as we move to the central part of the nation, showers and thunderstorms, a bit of fog as well. Visibility down to 3/4 of a mile and fog and drizzle at Harrison, Arkansas, also at McAllister, Oklahoma, and up at Ottumwa, Iowa. Back in the western part of the nation, though, a lot of snow is falling from the central provinces of Canada back through the northern and central Rockies. Low visibilities due to snow and blowing snow. Rock Springs, Wyoming, reporting 3/4 of a mile. Lander, 5/8 of a mile. snow and blowing snow, lowering visibility to 1/2 mile at Minot, North Dakota.
Yes, not here, but happening out west. Let's look at today, and you'll see that it was, well, just about on target, really. 64 and 47 in New York for the high and low. No rain, and that's again still our problem. We need to get some more rain in the rain bucket. Right now, our extremes for the day stand as follows: 83 in 1919 and 29 in 1976, and I don't think either are in jeopardy at this time. 47 degrees right now, the dew point dry at 33, humidity 58%, wind out of the north at 12, and the barometer is rising. It's pretty strong, too, 30.44. Now, skies are clear across the area, and pretty much on the cool side, especially in the suburbs. 41 at White Plains and Danbury tonight. It's 39 at Oak Ridge, 47 at Newark and Kennedy, one of the warmer spots at 49 degrees. All right, here's our satellite picture. You can see the hurricane down here. It's Hurricane Grace, just a minimal hurricane, 75-mile-per-hour winds. It's about 90 miles west-southwest of Bermuda at last check. It is going to be weakening over the next couple of days, but there's a lot of things taking place here that we need to mention. We have dry air pushing in from New England tonight with a clear sky all the way across New England into our part of the country. And there's sort of a squeezing of the air going on. There's high pressure building down from New England, the hurricane out here in the Atlantic, and the air gets funneled in between, sort of like pushing air between the buildings in New York City. It has to get through that smaller space, and the air then tends to blow a lot harder when you're standing in between the buildings. Well, that's the same thing that's going on here, and also we'll be seeing that same problem over the next couple of days in our part of the country as Grace tends to just sit out here and disappear into a major storm. We're looking for snow across the northern plains. They've had a foot of snow out there with temperatures today that had highs only in the teens, and right now they're sitting in the single digits in Wyoming and into Montana. Can winter be too far away? Well, look at the upper-level winds. The cold air later this week still diving into the west. Here's the problem. This little system in the upper levels of the atmosphere just sits there, so whatever's left over with Grace will also sit right off the east coast, and that could play havoc in our forecast later on in the week. Certainly looks like a breezy to windy week at times, and on the cool side, 40 tonight with clear skies, near 30 north and west. Tomorrow, lots of sun. High of only 54 degrees, though, and the wind kind of busy north-northeast at 20 to 30 miles per hour, and it may even be a little gustier than that on Wednesday. Mostly sunny, 56. And there's the question for Thursday and Friday. How close does that system off the East Coast get? Right now, I'm just calling it for partly to mostly cloudy. Upper 50s, and then maybe a little milder weather coming your way by Saturday. So this is definitely the week to stay tuned for the upcoming forecast.
It's going to freeze right on there, and it's because it's cold out there. Let's take a look right now. Kevin Parrish and Dick Wood got our video for us, a chilly one. Check the statistics. Show you the high for the day, 64 degrees, but don't let that fool you. That happened right after midnight, and in fact, we got a new low at 45, record high 83, 1919, record low 29, 1976. And as you can see, it's clear. Central Park, 45, northerly winds at 9, rising barometer, relative humidity 65%. Temperatures at this hour, upper 30s to the mid-40s around the region, and on the satellite picture, there's a big snowstorm, blizzard conditions back through the Dakotas, and also into the Midwest and also the Plain States. So heavy rains ahead of a frontal system. For us, though, a big area of high pressure out over the Canadian Maritimes. Also, the Hurricane Grace now still out in the Atlantic, moving to the east, causing problems for Bermuda. But what it's causing for us is the difference between the two pressure systems. That's a pretty strong pressure gradient, strong north-northeasterly winds tonight. We are calling for the possibility of some coastal flooding and erosion tomorrow along the beaches, and high surf advisories, plus much colder air being pulled down into our area. But the big problem tomorrow and over the next couple of days going to be the winds. As a matter of fact, standing at the bus stop, ooh, the winds might make it a hair-raising experience.
Everyone, welcome to AM Weather. I'm Joan Van On.
And good morning, I'm Wayne Winston. Well, we continue with a big storm right in the central part of the country. It's giving snow out to the Plain States, the mountains, and a lot of rain right up the Mississippi Valley. Let's start off by looking at our jet stream motion this morning and see what's happening. It comes in out of the Gulf of Alaska. Here it plunges southward right into the southwest part of the country. This is the big storm system. Out ahead of it, we've got a lot of warm air which has been pumped into lakes in southeastern Canada. That's what causes the big ridge before it heads back south and has drawn some colder air over the northeastern part of the country. Now, as we put those clouds into motion, you can see the big circulation here in the central part of the country, which has drawn cold air southward through the plains and the mountain states and drawn that warm air northward with a lot of moisture, too, with showers, thunderstorms being quite extensive. Now, out in the Atlantic Ocean, we still have Hurricane Grace this morning south of Bermuda. In fact, that early morning position is some 55 miles to the southeast of Bermuda, where they had winds as high as 67 miles per hour. The winds with Grace itself up to 75. Now, close-up view of North America, what's happening. With all the warm air in the eastern part of the country, we had records yesterday afternoon, the 80s from Shreveport over to Asheville. Then heavy rains, you can see it firing up just over and over again here over northeastern Texas and northeastern from there. Some heavy rains up to 6 inches in the eastern part of Oklahoma. Then you get on the cold air side of this storm. A lot of snow up here, strong winds, blizzard conditions across the northern plains yesterday. As much as 8 to 15 inches of snow has fallen. And temperatures as much as 50 degrees colder here out in the mountain states and central plains than they were on Sunday as that cold air came southward. There's heavy snow in the Rockies. In fact, some of the ski resorts up in northern Utah got as much as 40 inches of new snow, more snow out in the Cascades. Now, on this morning's localized radar, we still see some of these heavy storms right through the central part of the country. Last report, Texarkana in Arkansas, they were reporting some thunderstorms. These are moving to the east and northeast between 15 and 30 miles per hour. The overall view of the national radar summary during the past 6 hours or so shows again those thunderstorms out ahead of the front, tops anywhere from 45 to as high as 54,000 feet down along the southern end of those storms. Then showers, embedded thunder showers extending northward up into Wisconsin, tops there as high as 19,000 feet. Out to the west, we still have snow in the mountains. A lot of it doesn't show up on radar, but such places as Colorado Springs, Fort Carson, Colorado, and even into the Great Basin, all reporting some light snow this morning. Let's have a look at that national map. And we see the big storm system here up in the northern part of Minnesota with the rain out ahead of it, and then behind it the snow and strong winds. Their winds are gusting up to in excess of 30 miles per hour, causing blowing and drifting at places like Bismarck this morning with a temperature of only 13 degrees. Out ahead of it, high pressure is built into the northeast, and here too some fairly strong winds along the coast. Winds at Provincetown, Massachusetts, up to 38 miles per hour this morning. And ahead of the winds, southeasterly winds in excess of 30 at Green Bay, giving you an idea of just what a strong circulation we have. And then, as we said, the snow still back into parts of the Rockies. We've got snow in the Great Basin. Next low pressure area dropping into the northwest with some snow up in the Cascades. Temperature extremes at 6 a.m. Eastern, 5 Central Time, range from 13 below zero at Havre, Montana, 81 degrees.
I'm not doing very well with wind or with the weather.
Well, we're finally getting a taste of that crisp autumnal weather, and it's going to be downright chilly today. 53 degrees right now in Central Park. We do have sunny skies, though. The humidity at 64 degrees. Winds are out of the northeast at 10, and the barometer is rising. There's your satellite picture. Some clouds back to the west of us. They should stay there. We have a trough over us right now, so it's sort of filtering all those storms back up into Canada. But the temperatures are dropping. 32 degrees in White Plains at this hour, 39 in Newark, 36 at Trenton, and we're reading 39 at LaGuardia. Up to the mid-50s today for most of us, but still a breeze in there, so that's going to make it feel a little bit chillier than it really is. Tonight, another cold one on the way with temperatures down into the 30s, and tomorrow, just a slight warm-up, still breezy and still cool. Here's your forecast for today. Sunny, breezy, but cool, the high 53 degrees. Tonight, clear and cold, down to 37 for the low, 30 to 35 in the suburbs. And there's your 5 days ahead for tomorrow. Mostly sunny, continued cool with a high of 56. Thursday and Friday, a slight chance of a shower if Hurricane Grace starts to move back westward on us. Just a slight chance of a shower in there. And temperatures getting back up into the mid-60s by the time the weekend rolls around. Larry?
Yeah, we're coming up for the big marathon.
Changing. Those winds will be picking up. Any leaves left will be gone by tomorrow. Statistics on the day. High only up to 54. Our overnight low dropped back to 38. That's just 7 degrees away from the record low of 31 back in 1925. Right now, around our tri-state region, as you take a look at temperatures, you'll see that we've got 48 degrees, clear skies at Central Park, northeasterly winds at 8 miles per hour, steady barometer, relative humidity, 36%. Temperatures are in the mid to upper 40s to about 50 degrees around the region. And here's the storm we're talking about out in the Atlantic, and it is moving to the southwest. We have some video for you from Cape Cod where they've reported seas offshore at 33 feet, waves of 33 feet or better. There have been some boats that have floundered and the Coast Guard has had to go in and rescue some folks, and it's just going to get worse before it gets better. Here's how it shapes up. Low pressure out over the Atlantic, high pressure over the Canadian Maritimes, cold air poised to move in, plus the remnants of Hurricane Grace will merge with this storm as it works its way to the southwest. Strong northeasterly winds will mean coastal flood watches in effect, heavy surf advisories, and maybe some beach erosion as well. So for tonight, very chilly night. Temperatures dropping back mid to upper 20s north and west, mid-30s along the coast under clear skies with those heavy surf advisories. Coastal flood watches in effect for Connecticut tomorrow, but could be extended to Long Island and Connecticut and New Jersey as the day wears on. Sunny, upper 20s to upper 30s. Then during the day tomorrow, look for some clouds to move from east to west as the system gets closer. Temperatures only up into the low to mid-50s with windy conditions. Wind chills will feel in the upper 30s to mid-40s. 5 days ahead for you, even colder on Thursday, and as the storm approaches, look for some rain, maybe even some hail in the upper elevations with a high of about 50 degrees or sleet mixed in. Friday, partly cloudy, a little bit milder, 62, more the same on Saturday. Then Sunday, fair skies, temperature of 59. Of course, we'll continue to update this for you and keep an eye on it as it gets closer.
It hasn't sunk in with me yet. I walked outside today without my coat. I turned around and went back in.
Things look pretty good right along the eastern seaboard. No big problems right now. And to the west of us, we've got one line of showers and thunderstorms and thunder showers going all the way up from Texas, and then it turns a little colder, a little icier as you work up toward the Great Northland. Plenty of snow again, as we told you at 5 o'clock, working all the way from the Dakotas back toward, well, really all the way toward Wyoming, it looks like. But a nice clear patch for us right now. We're also watching with great interest this little patch of clouds that's holding off the eastern seaboard. This is now collecting moisture from what used to be Hurricane Grace, and as it does, a rare event could happen. It's not likely that one of these things usually takes or will want to take a backup and move toward the coastline. Well, now all computer models are showing that it looks like this one may actually do that. It's spinning around, going to collect some moisture, and by early as tomorrow night, we could be watching this thing back toward the coastline with fierce winds and some strong rains moving along right along with it toward our direction. So this is the way we call the day during the day tomorrow. And remember, this thing still hasn't gotten all its moisture together yet, so we're kind of calling it as it grows. Early sunshine, I don't think there's any doubt about that. That part is pretty clear. We've got a nice air of high pressure still staying with us. Late clouds if that thing offshore really does develop. And again, AccuWeather maps are showing it's likely to do that by tomorrow afternoon, pick up all the moisture that's left over from Grace, and then start backing toward the eastern seaboard. The winds are gusty today, were gusty last night, and it looks like they will be gusty. If this storm really gets together, they'll be rough, and you can expect some beach erosion not only along the northern shore, but also the Jersey shoreline. Atlantic City's been reporting, a stack up of waves as these strong northeastern winds pick up the water and throw it up against the shoreline. So the winds and coastal sections could be one of the roughest hit areas from this thing. AccuWeather forecast for tonight, well, not too bad tonight and tomorrow. Early sunshine, late afternoon clouds. 55 is the high number, so much like today. Again, tomorrow afternoon and evening, though, start looking for those clouds to develop, and it looks like Thursday and Friday could be kind of wet ones for us if this thing really does.
I mean, just to give you an idea, it's 3 football fields long, 14 stories tall, and weighs 74,000 tons. Literally a floating palace. It's a beautiful, beautiful ship. We have the captain with us this evening, Captain Tor Stangelin, and you brought it over from France. How does she handle?
Oh, she handles fantastic, this ship. She's a lovely ship to handle, and she's wonderful at sea.
And you're headed to the Caribbean, right, in another a week or so for cruising down there?
Yes, we are leaving New York on Friday, then to Miami, then towards the Caribbean for a whole winter, for a long season.
Well, I'd like to say I'm very jealous, but smooth sailing for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, our weather, I wish it was sort of smooth sailing. We have some problems to tell you about. Let's check out the weather map, and you can see that we have an ocean storm, which actually may affect the captain and his ship as she leaves here on Friday. Right now we're dry, but look at the satellite picture. That storm is actually moving from east to west. As we look at our satellite picture now, you can see that we'll be watching the storms to continue to move in from the east to the west, so that will create some problems, windy conditions in our forecast. Let's check out our statistics now, and you can see that our forecast is, okay, right now it's 48 degrees, dew point is 22, humidity 36, wind out of the north at 8, but it's gustier than that at times. Here's the forecast quickly, and tonight rather chilly and clear with the heavy surf advisory, Long Island and New Jersey, low of 37. Let's go right to the 5-day forecast, and you'll see that we got problems arriving here, not tomorrow, but Thursday and Friday, windy, high seas, and just going to be a rough day along the coast with a few rain showers possible too in the lower to middle 50s, and then maybe improving over the weekend. I'll check the data for you again tonight at 10. We'll see exactly how that storm's going to affect
a virtual river. Incredible. This was early this morning, actually, before dawn. 4 inches of rain in about an hour and a half. Fort Smith, Arkansas. Then on the other side of the coin, here it is October. Look at Rapid City, South Dakota. Chill factor 30 below zero. Snow depth 1 foot. All-time record for the month of October. Schools, forget about it. The kids are going home. It'll happen around here, folks, but not tomorrow or not the next day, but it'll happen. Meanwhile, heavy snow warnings in effect. State record 21 below Havre, Montana. Imagine that in October. We're clear as a bell. No problems. Here's the Midwest storm. Will it affect us? Maybe a little bit by trick-or-treat night. Could do. Could do. Look at the numbers tonight. Makes you shiver to feast your eyes on them. Here's how we're calling it now. Freeze warning for the suburbs. Cold, breezy. 35 in the city. 20s, numerous suburbs. Tomorrow.
So the very dry dew point, and the humidity dry too, 38%. Wind out of the north at 10, and the barometer starting to sail down now from a pretty high 30.47. Okay, across the area now, skies are basically still clear as can be, and we're finding cool readings on the island, 46 at Islip and Centerport. It's 48 out at Queens tonight, but look to the northwest where it's already in the upper 20s by Sparta and 38 in Oak Ridge, so they're going to have a rather chilly night ahead. Now here's what's happening, sort of a strange weather scene going on here. Look at this cloudy area here. First of all, you'll see this morning what's left of Hurricane Grace kind of drift off and start to disappear in the Atlantic. That is actually starting to get absorbed in this big storm that's rotating back from the east to the west, which is kind of strange because weather normally moves in the other direction. Now, we're still clear, but these clouds still advancing to our west. We're going to have to watch that storm very, very closely. It's a major ocean storm. The seas have been reported to be as high as 40 to 45 feet out in the open Atlantic. You see what I'm talking about. Winds out of the open Atlantic there at about 70 knots. This weather front not really going to get to us till later on in the week. The cool flow from the northeast will continue. And again, tomorrow that storm is just backing up. It's moving in from the east to the west. The rain shield will start maybe as early as tomorrow evening on eastern Long Island and continue to advance westward. The winds will be increasing as the day goes along. We do have a heavy surf advisory out for the Jersey Shore and a coastal flood watch out in Connecticut. We may need a coastal flood watch across the entire area by tomorrow night. Now, here's the problem for Thursday and Friday. There's an upper-level storm in the atmosphere, which is going to actually capture the storm moving in from the Atlantic. So this thing is going to sit here, folks, until at least Friday before it starts to weaken and get away, and maybe that'll be just in time for the weekend. But tonight, breezy and cold, 37 in town, some lower 20s north and west, and again, that high surf advisory, Long Island and New Jersey, and a coastal flood watch in Connecticut. For tomorrow, sunshine, then clouds moving in later in the day, high of 54. The rain could start tomorrow evening. And look at the winds, north to northeast, 25 to 35, and becoming even gustier later tomorrow and tomorrow night, and especially along the coast. Thursday looks pretty windy, and again, we could have some major damage for the Jersey Shore and eastern Long Island. 51 on Thursday, maybe some leftover showers on Friday, still windy, 56, and again, all works out. The weekend may turn out to be pretty decent. But you definitely want to tune in for future updates on this storm. It's a major, major storm coming towards us.
The largest ocean storm that we have seen in this part of the Atlantic Ocean in almost 20 years. Very intense and generating rough seas and rough surf up along the entire northeast coast. And it's absorbing what was Hurricane Grace, which went just by Bermuda this morning. So this tremendous cloud circulation and storm looks like it wants to back up. This is very unusual movement. But if it does back up closer to the United States during the next few days, we may get to see not only the gusty winds and serious beach erosion, but possibly some very, very nasty weather in terms of rainfall. We'll see about that. Meanwhile, the clouds to our west are trying to move towards us, but a ridge of high pressure over us right now with the clear skies blocking these clouds. But you notice these clouds out here are not moving away very, very much at all. They're sort of stuck out there. That's part of that big ocean storm south of Labrador. Okay, let's take a look at the rest of our maps now. The weather front pretty much stuck out in the Midwest. 3.5 inches of rain down in New Orleans today, and the rain right now is moving up along the front towards the Great Lakes. We're not going to see any of this precip. We're worried about the storms, rains, and whether or not that backdoors into our part of the country Thursday or Friday. Looking at the rest of our forecast, you will see wake-up temperatures in the 30s to near 40 here in town, upper 20s in the burbs, and our 5-day forecast looks this way. Lots of wind. Not for me, but for Mother Nature. Windy Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 50s for the highs, and the possibility of some showers working in here on Thursday and Friday. We got to watch this storm.
A pretty good circulation pattern right now. So what we thought yesterday might happen is indeed happening. We're building a pretty big storm out in the Atlantic, and this storm system is going to back up toward the coastline already. 58-mile-per-hour wind gusts reported out on Chatham, Massachusetts. Now, this is a pretty tough storm. It is chopping up the water, and it is pounding the shoreline in the northeast with some heavy surf. It looks like high tides will run anywhere from 2 to 4 feet above normal with this. And by Thursday and Friday, we're expecting some rain to back in with this system, and some of that rain will be accompanied by heavy rain.
Busy weather morning this morning. Let's start out by taking a look at the location of the jet stream and see what kind of weather it's been bringing us across the country. There's a very sharp ridge out in the western part of the nation, right along the Pacific coast, but a deep trough is carved by the jet stream through the Intermountain West, the Rockies. Then we find a sharp ridge through the eastern part of the nation as the jet retreats far north of the border, then another dip in the jet with a deep low pressure off the Atlantic coast. Let's put this in motion, and that strong trough in the west is ushering in very cold Canadian air. Flow aloft is pushing storms down into the southwest, but then southwesterly flow will bring these storms northward. Very high pressure, though, is anchored in eastern Canada. It remains anchored over the eastern part of the country. This is slowing down the eastward progress of the weather systems that are coming out of the plains and pushing into the Mississippi Valley. Let's turn our attention now to the U.S. sequence of pictures, and we find that strong storm out in the west brought some snow from the Intermountain West into the high plains. You can see the counterclockwise flow around the low pressure out over the western part of the nation. By yesterday afternoon, Lander, Wyoming had picked up 6 inches of snow, both Casper and Sheridan 4 inches. Boise, Idaho picked up 1.1 inches. This tied a record for the earliest snow of more than 1 inch for the date. But strong high pressure is building in the surface. Temperatures in the north-central part of the nation running from 30 to 45 degrees below normal. Another storm has moved out of the northwest through the Great Basin and into the southwestern part of the nation. This is bringing some snow to Arizona and New Mexico. Passed through California yesterday, brought some rain to the northern coast, and now it's generally less than 1/4 of an inch. But across the southwest with the snow, as much as 8 inches of snow had already fallen by 5 p.m. yesterday at Jacob Lake in Arizona, and that cold air will build behind the storm throughout the southern Rockies. Very strong showers and thunderstorms developed ahead of the front, across the plains and into the lower Mississippi Valley. They continue this morning. Hail, strong winds, and a possible tornado in Texas. 3 to 4 inches of rain has fallen through portions of Texas and the lower Mississippi Valley. That 2 inches at Little Rock, and rain has spread northward along the front into the Great Lakes. Let's turn our attention now to this morning's regional NOWRAD, and we find those showers and thunderstorms continue right along the Texas coast northward through Louisiana and into Arkansas. More than 6.5 inches of rain fell during the early morning hours at Corpus Christi. Let's turn our attention to the national radar summary now, and there's a band of showers and thunderstorms through Texas and into the lower Mississippi Valley, tops along the Texas coast up to 53,000 feet. Rain and showers continue northward through the Midwest and into the Great Lakes, tops there to 22,000 feet. Then we find a mix of precipitation across the high plains and changing over to snow through portions of the Rockies, tops there to 14,000 feet. In the east, as the remains of Grace move westward towards the New England coast, some showers offshore, tops there to 17,000 feet. Let's turn our attention now to this morning's current weather map, and we find that high pressure dominates the weather across the eastern part of the nation, and strong flow between the high pressure and low offshore, producing very strong winds along much of the eastern seaboard early this morning. With that strong high, the cold front pushing through the Midwest and Mississippi Valley is progressing very slowly. Rain and showers continue with the front. Those heavy thunderstorms again along the lower Mississippi Valley and into Texas, and fog extends across portions of Florida and across the southern plains. Very cold air is pushing into the north-central part of the nation, snow through central Canada, across portions of the northern plains, and then across the high plains Rockies and into the plateau, with another developing low-pressure system swinging through the southwest. Weather tranquil out along the Pacific coast.
The seawall and the waves crashing 15 to 20 feet now. Remember the high tide at 1 a.m. on the Jersey shore. There they go, 4 a.m. Long Island. So the most critical time will be the wee hours of the morning. Obviously some flooding for the morning commute. I do expect the storm will be abating by mid-morning, and by noon, not bad at all. But one heck of a storm with 25-foot waves. Unbelievable. Ships at sea east of Boston, about 100 miles east of Boston today. Off our map, reported wave heights of 40 to 70 feet. And I am not exaggerating. 78-mile-an-hour winds at Chatham, Mass. That was the highest gust we could find. Here's the low, but more important, off our map, a powerful high in Greenland is shoving the storm back in a southwesterly direction. A most unusual development. Light rain will occur. That's the irony, yet major flooding. Sometimes it doesn't take a lot of rain to cause a great deal of flooding. See how the low is all wrapped up here, and again, backing up. And here's the, well, another storm system that really isn't going to bother us, but it's a humdinger. Record cold out west. That's their problem, not ours. 23 below worse. All right, here's our forecast. Channel 9 Weather Lab. Coastal flood warning is in effect for Long Island and coastal New Jersey. Winds gusting to 60 miles an hour on Long Island. Light rain, temperatures holding in the 50s. Tomorrow, coastal flood warning, gale warnings, light rain.
Flooding.
And there's more to come. The storm has still not reached its full effect in our tri-state area, Corianne, and it looks like it will within the next 12 hours, but then it may even hang around into Friday. That's what you wanted to hear, right? Very strange storm. Let's talk about today. It was a beautiful day weather-wise in the sense that the sun was out there shining brightly with lots of blue sky. We hit 63 with the sunshine. The low was 41. No rain, though, today. 82 and 31 are record high and low for the day. Our current temperature is 53 degrees. It has clouded over in New York now. The dew point dry, though, at 26, so it's going to take a while for the rain to get in here. And the humidity is also very low at 35%. Wind out of the northeast at 14, gusting to 22, and the barometer is falling from 29.97. All right, a split personality across the tri-state. It's clear to the west, cloudy to the east, and it's 49 from Vernon to 58 at LaGuardia to 52 as you get out to Islip. So sort of wide-ranging in temperatures. But look at the radar here. This is the latest image that I've gotten, and you can see the center of the storm is right about in here. Again, we're not talking about a hurricane, just a major northern Atlantic storm that has moved in the wrong direction. It's going from east to west. Normally, again, they go the other way, and the rain bands will start spreading farther westward. Eastern Long Island will get a lot more rain than the rest of our area. And again, if you're inland, you're probably saying, what's this guy talking about? It's not that bad up here, but if you're along the coast, you know exactly what I'm talking about because the Jersey Shore all the way to eastern Long Island has had some major flooding already, and there's more coming because high tide comes up between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. this morning, and you can see, again, the storm is still moving off to the west. Now, what will happen is eventually the storm is now going to start to get captured by an upper-level storm system that is off the Atlantic coast, and it's located, again, right here on our national weather map tonight, and basically pulling in cool air from the Maritimes of Canada with temperatures in the 50s there. But the storm will start actually drifting southward and then start meandering northward again as it gets caught with that upper-level system, so that's why it's going to be here until about Friday. The worst will be in the next 12 hours, and then things will start improving slowly after that. Coastal flood warning, New Jersey and Long Island and Connecticut tonight. Storm warnings for high winds, the coastal waters of New Jersey and Long Island, and a high wind warning out for Suffolk County tonight. Not a nice night. Winds out of the northeast, 20 to 40, and again, we've already had higher gusts of over 60 miles an hour at Montauk. Some rain by morning, 36 in town, 40 to 45 north and west. Tomorrow, little rain here and there, most of it east of the city, 56 the high tomorrow. Windy, but then diminishing winds. They'll be out of the northeast at 20 to 30, and then dropping down by evening to maybe 15 to 20. Friday, kind of a tough forecast, a mix of clouds and sun, maybe a chance of a few leftover showers, 62. Late showers Saturday and partly sunny, 65, and then drier and cooler Sunday and Monday. So the worst, again, in the next 12 hours, and then slow improvement as we go through the day tomorrow.
Bands wrapping around the center of the storm, but they're only hitting up around Cape Cod and Rhode Island now. They're not getting close enough to us to give us any rain. Tomorrow we may get some of this rain, this showery activity coming into the New York metropolitan area. This is primarily a wind and rough sea coastal flooding storm for us. We may get some showers tomorrow.
It's not supposed to be. It's a golf course. We're at Jones Beach State Park, and the ocean is back beyond the seawall and boardwalk over there. It came over today. This morning, or tomorrow morning, it's supposed to come over again. The Red Cross tonight is ready at the Seaford Middle School on Long Island in case people along the South Shore are driven to higher ground.
Between 2 and 3 in the morning tomorrow, we will be having high tide again, and there have been possible stronger winds forecast and some rain. And if all of those things occur, we're almost certain that they'll be evacuating this area of the South Shore.
So the cots and the blankets are standing by, and we won't know if they are necessary until the next high tide, which won't come until the wee hours of the morning. These people were put on alert last high tide, mid-afternoon, when authorities got a good look at what this storm was capable of. They say it was the worst in 4 years today. High winds and high tides, sending ocean water in over dunes and bulkheads. Coastal parkways were closed to traffic. Streets were flooded even though it hadn't rained. Houses became islands. The rising water kept fishing fleets harbor-bound, and on the east end of the island, the rising water poured into some shore businesses.
We've had as much as 3 feet of water in the store here. And the only real problem is when it might happen at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then you're really in trouble.
In Greenport on the North Fork, they were scrambling to save this old sailing ship.
We're going to put her in between the 2 big piers and tie her off between both sides and let her ride out the storm.
We should point out that owners of more modest vessels are doing the same thing here tonight. We are still hours from high tide, and the town of...
And see if, the water is coming up high enough to cause them any concern.
Electrical lines strained on overhead poles, street signs twisted in the wind. Officers closed Dune Road in West Hampton Beach when half the road washed out, and a number of homes fell into the ocean. Others might not last the night.
So far, we've lost about 60 foot of road down around the Pikes Beach area. We lost 5 houses, 2 more are severely damaged, and 4 more are somewhat damaged. We'll probably lose those 4 by morning.
Hurricane Bob devastated the east end of Long Island back in August. I'm sure you remember that. It is still too early to say, but there are those who are predicting that this freak autumn storm could be even worse for the island. And we're live tonight on Dune Road, West Hampton Beach, Long Island. N.J. Burkett, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
When you know you won't escape a storm, the most you can do is get ready for the worst. In the Seagate section of Brooklyn, people are building a wall of sandbags trying to keep the rising water out. Not only that, but the people here and in Broad Channel, Queens, are being asked to boil their drinking water because of the fear that the seawater has contaminated it. And in Seaford, Long Island, the local high school has become the local shelter. People can go there to try to stay warm and dry. Our reporter Kathy Wolf is on the seawall in Seabright, New Jersey, where people are taking no chances with this storm.
That's right, Susan. They're not taking any chances, and with good reason. We're about 3 hours away from the next high tide.
I've been watching the news, and on the weather, it keeps on saying that there's a hurricane out there that's preventing all this water from the ocean.
But did you think that there would be water right on your street?
Oh.
A dozen vehicles. Beth Kaiser's home video shows an elderly man helped out of a...
Barry Park, 242, Sandy Hook, New Jersey, 204, Montauk, 231, New London, Connecticut, 3:43 in the morning. And here's the storm getting itself together and starting to race toward our area. It has not made a turn toward the south quite yet, and so we are a little bit concerned about that. As you take a look at the wind gusts so far, we've got some very high winds, 52-mile-per-hour wind gusts at Groton, Connecticut, 26 at JFK, 32-mile-per-hour gusts at Newark, I should say, in Poughkeepsie, and 41-mile-per-hour gusts currently at Islip. Wind speeds can range anywhere from 40 to 60-mile-per-hour gusts, and with tides 5 feet above normal. We have coastal flood warnings and more coming up as far as beach erosion and such. We'll continue to track this.
Storm gets a little closer. Let's first talk about the watches and warnings that affect the area. High wind warning for Long Island. Yes, that's in effect for today. Also, a coastal flooding problem every inch of the coastline. Take it all the way from the Connecticut shoreline, Long Island shore, all the way to the Jersey shoreline. This satellite loop animation of the last 20 hours will show you how the storm kind of developed, picking up moisture off of what used to be an old hurricane, flinging it around a developing low. And as this low backs toward the coastline, well, the winds will get stronger and it'll push even more water up in the coastal areas. This picture also lets you see how part of our area under crystal clear skies and just not aware of what's going on the shoreline. We'll show you where everything will go, and again, this low, call the position just about 300 miles off the eastern shore of New Jersey. Let's take a quick look at this map so we can see where that's going. And again, the map, well, anyway, we'll bring that back to you with weather in the next 20 minutes. Bill, we'll show you exactly where the storm is and where it's going. So 24 hours, how this low picked up moisture, extra moisture from the remnants of a hurricane, and is now spinning it around and pushing it back at us toward the coastline. This system has got to get a little bit closer. Let's show you some pictures that are going on right now, and then you can gauge the wind speeds. This is a live picture from out at Seagate, where they've got a look at the seawall there, and also the extraordinarily high tides that are running that way. And high tide is still waiting for us between 1 and 5 o'clock this morning for most of the area.
And unfortunately, that's when the storm will be just about at its closest, and that's why we say the worst is on for about that time. By 6 o'clock Thursday morning, the low will have moved close to the shoreline within a few hundred miles, basically, of the Jersey Shore, with high tides running between, again, 1 and 5. That's going to be shoving full force, strong winds, and all kinds of water up against the shoreline, and that's why the beach erosion and the flooding problem is not over yet and will not be over until tomorrow as the tides start to diminish. By Thursday noon, the storm will start the hook finally to be pulling on out until 6 o'clock by Thursday. We think this thing will be pulling out and taking a lot of moisture with it. Early in the morning, your low temperature will look about 44 degrees in town. Temperatures north and west of the city where it'll be gusty, but you won't have as much problem on the shoreline, 34 to 36. Wind chills will play a factor in all numbers, with winds gusting anywhere from 30 to 60 miles per hour. Out on the end of the island, though, near hurricane force winds are likely between 4 and 6 o'clock in the morning. That could be some gusts up to 70 miles per hour.
Hey, morning, I'm Wayne Winston. Well, plenty of wintry weather out in the central part of the country, and we'll be taking a look at it. The jet stream, and that really explains it all. The jet stream this morning is quite a pattern where we have the jet that comes down out of the Gulf of Alaska and into the western part of the country. This is a typical pattern. There we have it, and typical pattern of winter time, and certainly the weather has been wintry out in the central part of the country. And as we put that into motion, main feature is this vigorous upper low that's moving out of the mountain states into the plains this morning. Mix of rain, sleet, snow. The front that's been moving through the central states has been weakening with time. Big storm here in the North Atlantic, which has been drifting back towards the New England coast, and that's been causing just a lot of problems out there, as we'll see. And more cold air is moving southward out of Canada into the northern Rockies, and that's going to bring some more snow into the picture, along with more in the way of colder temperatures. Let's take a close-up view of North America. That offshore low brought strong winds to coastal areas, gusts to 78 at Chatham, Massachusetts, as high as 63 miles per hour in London, Connecticut, along with coastal flooding due to the high surf conditions. This frontal system, which has been causing so much rain, gradually weakening with time here now as it moves eastward, and all the energy is being focused really into the storm that's moved across the southwest here and into the Rockies this morning. It's producing a lot of snow as it mixes into the colder air, and snow and icy conditions have spread into parts of the Missouri Valley. And then colder temperatures we're talking about moving southward with this front into the northern Rockies. As much as a foot of snow yesterday in northern New Mexico. Denver has about 5 inches of snow, and they only had a high of 19 yesterday. Here's the morning radar summary. This is a mix of rain and snow right through the central part of the country. We've got rain in the warm air and changes over to snow. We've got some sleet around the Omaha area this morning, some freezing rain up at Mason City, Salina, Kansas. Wichita have had both sleet and snow this morning. That snow goes into West Texas, and heavy thunderstorms around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Let's take a look at the current weather map this morning. Still pretty good in the eastern part of the country for the most part, except with the strong winds and some rain right along the New England coast or just offshore. We're still getting gusts over 30 miles per hour at New York City and Boston this morning. Then as we head to this weakening front, well, we pick up some more rain, fog, changing to drizzle. And then we've had a lot of freezing rain and sleet and freezing drizzle here all the way from parts of Iowa down into Texas, changing over to snow, as we said. Freezing drizzle around Childress, Texas, changes over to snow all the way back west to Garden City, Kansas, Fort Carson, Colorado, into the mountains of northern New Mexico. Here comes some more snow into the northern Rockies this morning with that blast of colder air. The far west generally dry, fog in some of the valley areas. Temperature extremes at 6 a.m. Eastern, 5 Central.
Cloudy skies, a little bit of drizzle, and 50 degrees. The humidity at 77%, a northeast wind at 13, and the barometer 29.98 and rising. Take a look at the satellite picture, and you'll see that storm still swirling around off the coast right now. Very hard hit all the way from Cape Cod on down south to the New Jersey shore, and still some problems there as well. But as the storm begins to pull out to the northeast, things will start looking a little bit better, and we're looking at partly cloudy skies for most of us here today. For tomorrow, the storm continues to move northeast and out of the picture. Temperatures warm up just a bit for us, and we finally get some sunshine back in here. Take a look at the forecast for today now. Partly cloudy, still windy, a cool day with some light scattered showers a possibility. The high today up to 59. Tonight, partly cloudy and pleasant, the low down to 48, 40 to 45 in the suburbs. And in the 5 days ahead, tomorrow looks partly cloudy and cool with a high of 60. Saturday, partly sunny, a chance of an afternoon shower and a high to 63. A cool down for the marathon.
Waterlogged homes and in some cases, homes that simply aren't there anymore. Steve Powers begins our coverage tonight from Seabright, New Jersey. Steve?
Yeah, that's right, Jack. As a matter of fact, if there's going to be any trick-or-treating tonight and Halloween, and there is in this town of Seabright, at least on this street, they're going to have to use something like this boat to get back and forth. The whole town, or parts of the town rather, were inundated as the water crashed over the seawalls. Part of Route 36 was closed down by police because it was simply impassable. But by and large, this is a beach community, and people did the best they could and did pretty well as their town got pounded by the storm.
I can't ever remember seeing that much water on Ocean Avenue as far as footage goes. You know, there must have been 8 feet of water there yesterday, and there's probably about 10 feet in the middle of it at high tide today.
At high tide this afternoon, the winds pushed the seas over the barrier walls, which protect this community from the fierceness of the ocean. The water, a couple of feet deep in places, forced police to shut down Route 36 in Seabright, but there was other access to the community. All told, how many people were evacuated?
Approximately 30 people.
30 people. Were they elderly or?
All ages.
They just decided not to stick it out.
They got a little deep here. This is usually dry, but today we had some unusual tides here.
Some residents decided to stay.
Last night we got about 4 or 5 inches in the house. You know, it's the kind of thing around here you got to deal with.
I'll tell you, just a very short time ago, we took a walk along the beach, and it's low tide now, so the worst of this is over here in Seabright in New Jersey. Now let's find out what's going on out in Long Island and Freeport with Bob Plunkett.
Thank you, Steve. I'm in Freeport on the edge of the Great South Bay. We're about 2 hours to what should be low tide, but the water is still at a high tide level. I'm on the back deck of the Schooner restaurant, and just a couple of hours ago it was completely submerged. The water was up to the level of this bench, and that's not the worst damage they suffered. Last night at about 3 o'clock in the morning, the water was 8 feet higher. It was up to the edge of the restaurant, almost to the window level. It was pouring into the restaurant. They had a foot of water inside. Right now you can see that the workers are cleaning up now, that the water has receded somewhat. And like a lot of Long Islanders, they're saying that this is one storm they are not going to soon forget. The high winds and the rising tide brought damage to the entire south shore of Long Island. Marinas and boats were hit very hard as the pounding surf overran docks and broke some apart. The waves, at times 8 feet higher than normal, reached across whole stretches of beach, like at Smith Point State Park in Suffolk County, to eat away the dunes. That also contributed to the heavy beach erosion.
In comparison to Hurricane Gloria, which was a major hurricane, this is the worst damage that I have seen in the 13 years that I've worked on this beach.
For many South Shore residents, flooding made getting around difficult, but not impossible. In Babylon, many abandoned their cars in the roadways for boats or for wading around on foot. Many South Shore businesses had to close for the second day in a row. For the more adventurous, the high seas made for a second day of some radical surfing off the beach of Babylon and Islip. But the floods couldn't dampen the Halloween spirit of several kids in East Freeport who found another way to get around trick-or-treating.
I see that you've got your basket of candy there. How many trick-or-treaters are you expecting?
Not many. I thought maybe I could get to the kids by boat, you know, but they're not coming close enough.
And we have a report from the Coast Guard. This is just in. They have reported spotting a man in a life raft about 125 miles south of where that helicopter crashed. They said they cannot make a positive identification on the man. It appears to be the missing crewman from the helicopter crash. He does appear to be alive, although they cannot make a positive identification. And the state police are reporting that we appear to have the first storm-related death. A 40-year-old East Meadow man was found in the Sloop Channel just north of Jones Beach. That's it from Long Island. Back to you, Corinne.
Thank you very much, Bob. And Nick, of course, has been tracking this storm. He joins us now with the very latest. Nick?
Well, Corinne, this is probably the worst storm in about 20 years to hit the tri-state area, worst coastal storm, we should say. Now, they're comparing it a lot to, say, Hurricane Gloria and Hurricane Bob. Now, the big difference between that and this situation, when those two storms moved through relatively quickly, let's say within a period of about 8 hours, and also did not strike during a period of high tide. This storm has been affecting the area for over 30 hours and has already gone through almost 3 high tides and another one to go after midnight. into the wee hours of Friday morning. So it's still out there. It is weakening. We've just come off of high tide now, and I'll tell you how much longer that storm will be bothering us when I come back with a full report in just a little bit. Fran?
Thanks, Nick. We'll see you later. And of course, even the President of the United States cannot control Mother Nature. President Bush's vacation home in Kennebunkport, Maine was badly damaged by the storm. Water covered the entire property, virtually gutting the first floor. The President will visit his home this weekend to see how much damage occurred.
It's been bothering us again for almost 30 hours now. That's the significant factor with this. If it just came through in about 8 hours and went away, we wouldn't be having such devastation. But the problem is it is still sitting out over the Atlantic. The good news is it's weakening, but we're getting that northeasterly airflow still piling up the water and still causing some problems during high tides. Now, the storm should be weakening slowly in the next couple of hours as well, and it looks like the next round of high tides will not be quite as bad as we have seen across the area. It's still, again, spinning very slowly, now moving southward in the Atlantic, and the reason it's been around for so long is it's been trapped in the upper atmosphere. This upper level low almost sitting right on top of it, and that tends to just hold everything together until we're going to get some cold air to dive in out of the Rockies to kick this thing away, and that's going to happen during tomorrow. So some good news, but just hang on for about another 12 hours or so. Let's check our current reading right now in Central Park. It is 54 degrees, the dew point at 45, humidity 72%. Again, look at these waves just brought in by those northeasterly winds. Wind is still gusty up to 18, the high at 56, the low 48, just a trace of rain in the city. Radar showing most of the rain is still out off to the east. Take a look at the radar with me now, and you can see that the rain is still off to the east. There it is, and that pretty much will be the case tonight. So just a chance of a few showers, mostly east of town. Coastal flood warning, but again, things will be starting to subside tonight. 49 in town, 42 to 47 north and west. Tomorrow, well, lots of clouds, a little sun, a high of about 60, still a bit breezy at times. Here's the 5-day forecast. Another round of showers maybe for Saturday with clouds mixed with sunshine, 64, and then much cooler air coming in on Sunday and Monday in the mid-50s, but at least, again, things will be much quieter by then. And have a very safe Halloween. An update tonight at 10.
Back to the Jersey Shore, the Long Island coastal areas, also minor flooding still occurring, a little bit of beach erosion, as we mentioned earlier. About 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, there'll be another minor high tide along the Jersey Shore. And rain showers occurring out on Long Island, although they are relatively light. All right, major storm is affecting the Midwest. It's going to affect us a little bit in the form of rain showers Saturday. Happy Halloween, everybody, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Take a look. Blizzard conditions. Up to 8 inches of snow in the largest city of South Dakota, Sioux Falls. I've heard of frost on the pumpkin, but this is a bit much. Deep snow on the pumpkin, yeah. And they weren't the only ones that got it. There must be a witch sweeping there. I don't know. But anyway, 8, 9 inches, 3, 9 inches down as far south as Dalhart, Texas, and record cold, including 14 below up in Montana at Glasgow. Here's our local radar. You can see the showers on Long Island. They are trying to move westward. We should get a few spritzels during the late night and early morning hours, although it will be improving tomorrow. Tornado watch in effect in the southeast. They're getting blasted around Baton Rouge. They had one earlier tonight. And part of this system, as I mentioned earlier, is moving east and is going to give us a close shave on Saturday. Sunday, New York City Marathon. Take it to the bank. Bright sunshine, 50 degrees. The runners, they're going to be loving it. Here's our forecast now from the Channel 9 Weather Lab.
The coastal flood warnings have been taken down just about everywhere except for north coastal New Jersey.
Oh, great.
And that'll be even be taken down shortly.
Good.
So we're slowly coming out of this. Again, it's been a rough 36 hours for most of the area, but the trend is now towards improvement and just in time for the weekend, too. Today, though, was, well, again, weather-wise not overly bad in the sense of rain or storms, but a lot of wind and a lot of flooding that continued across the area. Look at the stats for the day, 56 and 48 for the high and low. A trace of rain in the city. Most of the rain has been way out on the east end of the island, and for that matter, even out over the open waters of the Atlantic. 81 in 1946 for the record high, and 29 in 1925. Right now, it's 53 in New York, dew point 46, humidity 77%. Wind out of the north at 8, but still a little gusty. Not too bad, though, only 17 miles an hour. And the barometer is still falling from 30.04. Mostly cloudy now across the area, on average. We have some rain still ongoing east of the city, mostly again central and eastern Long Island right now. It is raining at Islip and out towards the Hamptons, basically near 50 there, and a few upper 40s up in northwest Jersey and parts of southeastern New York. All right, here's the radar, and you can see this goes into motion from about 7 o'clock tonight. Everything is backing in still from the northeast, but starting to dry out, and most of the rain out here is now starting to fall apart, too. Still another sign that this beast, I guess we have to call it, this monster, has finally started to weaken as it continues to just spin itself out here over the Atlantic. And it looks like it'll continue to do that, but gradually weaken. It's been stuck here because at the upper levels of the atmosphere, there's been a low pressure or little upper level disturbance sitting there as well. And until this moves, the bottom storm underneath it over the waters is not going to move away. So we're hoping that that's going to start to take place tomorrow, and that will get out of the way in our forecast. Still that cool northeasterly wind tonight, cold air diving in across the upper parts of the Midwest, and that's the cold air that is going to allow the storm to eventually get kicked out and pushed off towards the Atlantic. So tomorrow, not a great day, clouds, a little bit of sunshine, still a bit breezy, but the waters will be subsiding, and that's the best news of all, and maybe a sprinkle out of that front on Saturday, then turning cooler. Coastal flood warning only for north coastal Jersey, rain mostly east of town, 49 in the city, 42 to 47 north and west. Tomorrow, clouds will mix with some sunshine, 60 degrees and only breezy tomorrow. That's an improvement. North winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy tomorrow night, and our 5-day forecast has disappeared here. Oh, no. My goodness.
The goblins.
The goblins have gotten to our graphics machine here, figures on Halloween. It looks like we will be seeing, see, it's not even there. I was hoping maybe it might have mixed into our little weather sequence there, but it didn't. So I'll have to tell you that the 5-day forecast is partly sunny on Sunday, or Saturday, just a chance of a shower in the lower 60s, and then drying out and cooling off Sunday, mid-50s, partly sunny, and then a dry Monday and Tuesday.
You have it memorized anyway.
Well, let's see.
Worrisome. Hopefully that is now finally moving away, and in fact the storm is. As we go back live to Long Beach, Long Island, and Bob Gonzalez and Jason Morgese getting our weather video for us out there. Long, hard day, a couple of days for all of our crews, and we want to thank them for doing that duty. As we check the statistics, show you our high for the day, 56 degrees, the low 60, normal 60, low 48, record high 81 in 1946, record low 29 in 1925. Right now, cloudy at Central Park, 52 degrees. Winds have died down a bit, down to the north at 7 miles per hour, falling barometer, 80% the relative humidity. Temperatures upper 40s to mid-50s around the region. And on the satellite picture, last 24 hours, you can see the storm approach, and then all of a sudden hang on a left turn and head down to the south. What we've got now, finally, we're going to have a little bit of cloudiness tonight and on into tomorrow morning, chance of a scattered shower. Then we'll start to see another frontal system push its way toward us. That's going to get in here by the weekend, dropping temperatures and bringing things down a little bit more. So, of course, the question now that you're asking is, which kind of...
off the Carolinas. Let's take a quick look, since we're not the only ones to be affected by this big, massive storm. We'll just show you what else was going on. We start first around the president's kind of retreat around Kennebunkport. One of the homes that was damaged up here, but they're saying 185 homes were destroyed right around this big house that the president has to take a look at this weekend to look at the damage. In Cape Cod, flood tides and ocean swells of more than 50 feet pounded that area of land, and so there's a lot of damage that way as well, and people are saying the damage there in particular is worse than it was for Hurricane Bob. Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, Hatteras Island evacuated. It has affected Nags Head, Kitty Hawk as well, as the waves washed over the dunes that are down there, and if you've ever been through them, those are substantial dunes that the ocean has already gone over. So I think in total it'll be easy to say that the damage from this storm that sat steady in the Atlantic was much worse from Hurricane Bob that just kind of came up and glanced the area. So 48 degrees, early morning temperatures, 47 to 49 on the island. Hopefully we'll wake up to better looking conditions in the morning and find 41 to 42. Sunshine should be peaking between the clouds early in the morning, as we don't have this low out of the picture yet. Remember, we still have high tides coming after the midnight hour tonight up until about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning scattered around the area. And by early in the morning, that low should be out in the Atlantic and pulling away, but it will take...
Good morning, and welcome to AM Weather, now in its 14th season. I'm Wayne Winston.
And I'm Joan Von Ahn. Well, snow is falling from the plains into the upper Midwest. Another bout of snow entering the north-central part of the nation. Let's take a look at what's bringing us all this weather across the country. We'll start out with this morning's jet stream. We find a sharp ridge out along the Pacific coast, and then the jet is diving southward out of Canada, feeding a lot of cold Arctic air into the Rockies and Plains. Turns sharply northward then into the upper Midwest and Canada, bringing low-pressure systems northward and warm weather relatively through the southeast. Let's put this picture in motion now, and we find those northwest winds bringing wind chills well below zero across the northern plains. Cold air reaching as far south as Texas. Now, this trough is expected to shift a little to the east during the next couple of days, and this will keep storms out of the southwestern part of the nation. Let's take a look now at our U.S. sequence of pictures, and we find that that low is finally beginning to weaken out along the Atlantic coast, that is, but we do still find some strong winds and precipitation across the northeast early this morning. Fair skies for the past 24 hours across much of the eastern seaboard. But that strong weather system is crossing the Mississippi Valley. Showers and thunderstorms through the mid and lower Mississippi Valley. They brought 80-mile-per-hour winds to Ringgold, Louisiana. 1 3/4 inches of rain fell at Alexandria, and Lufkin, Texas picked up 1 inch. Strong winds and hail accompanied most of these thunderstorms. So we moved northward, though. We saw a transition to freezing rain through the plains in mid-Mississippi Valley. Little Rock, Arkansas had 1 inch of freezing rain on the ground. 3 inches of freezing rain was on the ground through eastern Nebraska and into southwest Iowa. Snow is falling, though, through the plains and into the upper Mississippi Valley. Already more than 1 foot of snow on the ground at Hagler, Nebraska, more than 9 inches at Garden City, Kansas, and about 7 inches at McCook, Nebraska. Southern front is moving southward out of the plains, bringing some snow to the northern Rockies and central and western Canada, again with bitter cold temperatures. Let's take a look now at this morning's regional NOWRAD, and we find those heavy showers and thunderstorms across Louisiana, around Mobile, then northward to around Birmingham. Some heavy thunderstorms and heavy rains embedded with these showers and thunderstorms. Let's turn our attention now to this morning's national radar summary. And you can see the front and the band of precipitation as it moves slowly to the east from the central Gulf states into the Tennessee Valley with showers and thunderstorms, tops of 46,000 feet. Then a transition to some freezing precipitation through portions of the Midwestern plains, and then a band of very heavy snow this morning from Kansas across Nebraska and into the northern parts of Wisconsin and Minnesota. Tops range from about 21 to 24,000 feet. And then some rain and showers with that low pressure along the New England coast. Tops there to 24,000 feet. Let's take a look at this morning's current weather map, and there's a strong low pressure centered in the mid-Mississippi Valley. This is moving off to the north, and the showers and thunderstorms across the Tennessee Valley and down to the Gulf Coast, and the freezing precipitation and snow through the plains and upper Mississippi Valley. This is lowering visibilities in many spots down to 3/4 of a mile at Concordia, Kansas, and snow. Omaha, Nebraska, 1/4 of a mile and 1/8 of a mile in snow up at St. Cloud, Minnesota. Windy conditions also across the plains. 47-mile-per-hour gusts at Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. 38-mile-per-hour gusts at Sioux City, Iowa. And 51-mile-per-hour wind gusts at Kearney, Nebraska. Windy conditions also across the northeast with that strong low-pressure center off the New England coast, along with some rain and drizzle. We find 30-mile-per-hour gusts being reported at Boston and 36-mile-per-hour wind gusts at Block Island, Rhode Island. Visibility is down to 0 at Burlington, Vermont, and 0 and some fog at Charleston, South Carolina. Out in the southwest, high pressure and relatively dry conditions. We have the Santa Ana winds this morning across southern California. The temperature extremes around the nation at 6 a.m. Eastern time ranged from only 4 degrees.
It's my trusty sidekick, Herman, here. Come on, Herman, smile. We're on television. And you can see why they call it the world's toughest rodeo. These bulls back here are just kind of rowdy. I don't know if you saw Good Day New York this morning with Larry Hoff, but he had a little ride with the bulls. I chose a little more docile approach to this weather report. Well, the weather's going to be getting better. We've had our own little run of some rough weather over the last couple of days. Check out the weather map now, and you can see that things are getting better. The storm is still off the coast, but it's moving away and weakening. There is a little front to our west tonight with the showers from Michigan down to Washington, but they're going to weaken as they come our way. I don't even think we'll see that. We'll just see a few clouds as that front comes across. Look at the satellite picture, and it's also showing us that we're, again, in between the systems now. One system off the east coast and the other one coming in across the Ohio Valley with the showers. All right, right now in Central Park, it's partly cloudy, 58 degrees. The humidity 78%, wind out of the east at 9. The barometer is still falling. 62 and 52 in New York today. That's close to normal. Our forecast, mostly cloudy and cool tonight, dropping to 51 in the city, the 40s in the suburbs. Tomorrow, it'll become partly sunny and mild for a period of the day anyway, high of 66. It'll turn cooler late tomorrow as the front passes, and here's the 5-day forecast. Much cooler weather coming in, not so much on Sunday, mid-50s, which is great again for the marathon. Some clouds on Monday, 50, and then much cooler Tuesday and Wednesday, 40s. Only in the mid-40s on Tuesday, and then maybe upper 40s on Wednesday. Again, from the world's toughest rodeo, and maybe I'll try a little run in the center ring.
I'm not tailor-made for you runners on Sunday because it's really going to be quite nice, just the way you like it. And the weather's improving for all of us, too, over we move into this weekend, and we could sure use it. We've had a rough couple of days. There was some wacko weather going on in the country. Wait till you see what I'm going to tell you about tonight. 62 and 52 in New York today, very close to normal. No rain, but there was a little bit of drizzle and some spotty rain in parts of the area today. 84 and 30 are extremes on the day. Right now in New York, under cloudy skies, 56 degrees, the dew point at 51, high humidity 83%. Wind out of the southeast today, and the barometer is 29.97 and holding steady. And, of course, the magical lights of Broadway in the background there. Okay, across the area now, skies are mostly cloudy on average. Temperature's fairly uniform because of the clouds. 51 at Sparta, 53 at Scarsdale tonight and Oceanside, and 52 out in the Hamptons, Red Bank at 52 tonight. Here's the radar. We have a little cold front that's trying to sneak on by, and it will during tomorrow, but notice the rain showers are moving pretty quickly through Pennsylvania, but they're starting to fall apart as they move across, except for this bigger band of showers moving across upstate New York. I think these showers will die out. This band will pass to our north, so we're looking okay. Just a lot of clouds to be in the area tonight. Now look at this satellite. Here's our old storm, but watch what happens. Can you see that little center? Almost like an eye forming. And in fact, it looks like this may have taken on tropical characteristics and is now heading out over the open waters of the Atlantic. Thank goodness. So good riddance to that, but it may be, in fact, a hurricane right now because winds around the center of that almost at 100 miles an hour. Our problems, again, coming from this front with some clouds, really, but big problems with this storm in the Midwest. Okay, you talk about what happened here over the last couple of days. In Minneapolis tonight, 2 feet of snow. Same in Duluth. And it's still snowing. They may end up with near 3 feet across northern Minnesota as the storm retreats up on it into Canada. 60s along the East Coast and bitter cold across the northern Rockies in the single numbers for highs today. And another snowstorm moving into Colorado into tomorrow. So wild weather, more snow moving up to the Great Lakes. But again, for us, mild tomorrow, then the cooler air comes in, and that is the good news forecast just in time for the marathon. Some clouds overnight, cool, 51 in the city, some 40s north and west. A lot of clouds in the morning, partly sunny in the afternoon, and I think a mild afternoon, 66 degrees. Then late in the afternoon, the winds will come up a little more out of the west, and that will start dropping the temperature. And there's your Marathon Sunday forecast. In the morning in the 40s, so the runners will be nice and cool and comfortable. The high Sunday only about 55 and mostly sunny. Then the cold air really gets in here, partly sunny, only 50 on Monday, and then Tuesday and Wednesday, hoo-hoo, we will be in for a rude awakening here. Mid-40s on Tuesday to upper 40s on Wednesday. So how do you like it? Big coastal storm here, snowstorm in the northern plains and in the Rockies. It's really
but cloudy. 62 for the high today with a mix of clouds and a little bit of sun, and the morning low 52, and we're working our way towards a new moon. All right, let's take a look at this satellite picture. I'm telling you, it's beyond textbook level meteorology. I mean, when we talk about comma-shaped clouds, take a look at this. We start out over the Midwest, the upper Midwest, where there is still a blizzard in progress as we speak tonight in the southern third of Minnesota. 25 inches of snow on the ground in Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's the most snow they have ever had so early in the season. We have a cold front heading our way now. Here's that band of cloudiness, which is going to progress eastward during the night, and tomorrow it may produce a light shower here during the afternoon tomorrow as the cold air begins to rush in. But that front's also going to help to push away whatever is left of that crazy Neutercane, that terrible storm that ravaged the East Coast this week. On we go to the maps and the radar review right now. The precipitation out over the Midwest still showing snow here. There is a new snowfall gathering for Colorado. Denver is going to get several inches of snow tomorrow with maybe a foot in the mountains. And here's that cold front coming in with a few showers that'll march through here during the day. Most of the day will not be rainy. It's going to be dry for the Breeders' Cup in Louisville at Churchill Downs tomorrow. We've got sunshine out there. It'll be chilly, though. And we're changing gears, too. As that front comes through tomorrow, behind it, a punch of colder air and dry weather for the New York City Marathon on Sunday. Great weather for the runners. It'll be dry, and it'll be crisp and cool. They love it that way. Temps when you get up tomorrow morning, 50 here in town, 40s in the surrounding burbs. And as we look ahead, you can see the 5-day forecast reflecting a downward trend in temperature. That chance of showers in there tomorrow as the cold front comes in, a mix of clouds and sun till then. Then we drop to 52 on Sunday. It'll be breezy and dry, even chillier on Monday, down at 50. There is a slight chance some unsettled weather could come in here Monday, but right now we like to accentuate the positive. And boy, we need positive in the weather forecast.
When do you think those showers tomorrow afternoon? Or?
Late morning. Normal lows, 45. Record high, 84 back in 1950. Record low, 30 in 1885. And at this hour, we've got drizzle and 55 degrees at Central Park. Southerly winds at 6. A falling barometer, relative humidity right up there, 93% temperatures at this hour in the low to mid-50s around the region. On the satellite picture, basically what you're going to be looking at is quite a bit of activity around. A big swirl of clouds up in the Great Lakes area. Minneapolis, St. Paul, we've got some video for you just to show you that winter is just around the corner. Well, were they playing the World Series just a couple of days ago out there, a week ago? Well, they've gotten so far in the city of Minneapolis alone 26 inches of snow. They're expecting at least another foot, and it's not over yet. And that storm is not going to be affecting us really, but the frontal system that's attached to it will be. This cold front is going to be pushing through. It's already moving through, bringing with it some clouds, some drizzle. Behind it, the winds will come out of the northwest. That'll be much, much cooler air coming on in here. But it's just in time for the marathon. You
also washed away like these in West Hampton Beach. Much the same along the Jersey Shore. This is Belmar seawall, and it was battered by the ocean tides and even cracked. The waves overran a pool in Monmouth Beach, and they're still scooping the sands and muds off the roads there. Officials toured the storm's wreckage. This was Governor Florio and Senator Lautenberg of New Jersey in these pictures, and they said there's no doubt that this area should qualify for federal disaster relief. All up and down the seaboard, a lot of politicians are saying the same thing. This storm was much worse than Hurricane Bob as it moved through, and we'll be talking about it for years and years to come. 55 degrees outside right now, relative humidity high. Reconnaissance plane out to take a look at what's left of this system that beat the coastline. Sure, it looks small. See the little eye in the center of this thing? Wind speeds clocked at almost 80 miles per hour in the center of that storm. It's an unnamed hurricane. We know that, but we're not going to name it, it doesn't seem. National Hurricane Service has to do that, and I don't think they're going to do it. Looks like it's heading for Nova Scotia. Cold front, as you can see, pushing through the area right here. We've got some clouds from it. It'll hook and throw this thing back up toward Nova Scotia. So we have some clouds to deal with tonight. Maybe I'm being optimistic, but by 7 o'clock in the morning, we're hoping there'll be sunshine. We know Saturday will be a day.
Can we show it? Yeah, the medallion that Bill Evans won today, beating 16 minutes off his time from last year. Absolutely. How you feeling?
Well, just as I guess walking over to the map will take on a whole new meaning tonight.
You're going to wobble over there.
As a matter of fact, let's look at a little video from today. One spicy meatball making his way down First Avenue. As a matter of fact, it might have been a better idea to stop in a few of those nice pubs along the way. That's my brother-in-law Scott there, and we did have a wonderful time. And I must say, thank you very much to Stan and to Terry at the 21st Mile Health Station. They rubbed the cramps out of my legs and helped me make it the rest of the way. All the volunteers. You could never run the New York Marathon without them. 50 degrees right now, 34% humidity. It was a good day for the marathon. Still a little bit warm by runner's standards, but not bad if you were a spectator. The barometer's rising. Winds are west at 6. Temperatures today very close to the normal marks for this time of the year. Here are the satellite pictures from this time yesterday. A cold front, the second cold front, the one we were talking about last night, it is sweeping eastward into the area. At the same time, an upper-level disturbance is working its way ahead of that frontal system right here into the tri-state area. It's already spilling clouds our way, and it has produced rain over Georgia and South Carolina. There's a propensity for this storm to create some rain out over eastern Long Island. This low is the big low that brought all the snow throughout the Central Plains and the Rockies. It's moving off into Canada now and will bring us clouds tonight. Out west, very cold weather is being ushered in by that low-pressure system. I mean, we will see some of the coldest weather of autumn heading our way. There's no precipitation for us to look at in the tri-state area. However, a few showers, like I mentioned, just off Montauk, and a line of showers with that upper-level disturbance, that upper-level trough all the way down to the Gulf Coast. Here is the U.S. satellite picture right now, and it will continue to show just that low-pressure system moving off, and it will continue to get out of the way tonight, still bringing some clouds our way as this frontal system will exit off the coast. So tomorrow, we're going to have a cold day, 45 for the high, but we'll have some broken sunshine in the afternoon. We'll start off with morning clouds tomorrow. Could be a quite cold week, too, because high pressure will dominate from the Ohio Valley all the way over to the northeast, and this area, cold weather, will really be cold, dropping temperatures about 15 degrees below normal for this time of the year. Let's get a look at the temperatures tonight. 38 in the city, 29 in northern Jersey, 30 in the outlying areas, probably 35 to 34 from Long Island Sound down the Jersey Shore. So it's going to be cold. Bundle up tonight, get a coat if you're going out. 38 tonight and cold tomorrow. We'll see morning clouds, then sunshine, but still, it's going to be quite cold tomorrow, high 45. Tomorrow night, bring the pets and plants indoors, 20 in the suburbs. Here's the exclusive AccuWeather 5-day outlook. Sunshine through the period, but look at those temperatures. 45 Tuesday, 48 Thursday, 45 Friday. Ooh, Mother Nature opened up the freezer door.
And talk about a marathon of a day. You're going to make it to the 11, right?
I will be here.
Okay, all right.
Very close to the truth, and it's on the way. Today, temperatures didn't get out of the middle 20s in Chicago. Now, we're not about to tell you that that's coming to New York, but it's going to be getting colder. It's going to be a cold week ahead, no question about it. But today, maybe a little bit too warm for the runners, but it was 57 for a high, which just about where it should be for this time of the year. We're down to 45. We have lots of middle and high clouds around. That's going to hold temperatures up. But you'll remember this reading fondly over the next couple of nights, especially in suburbia. Rising barometer, and there's your high-low split, no precip. Earlier today, even reached 60 degrees at Islip, and while we were in the 50s, look out to the west. These were temperatures by mid-afternoon. Chicago was only 20, 17 in Des Moines, 17 up in Minneapolis. They have that, of course, deep snow cover from Minnesota and northern Iowa on up into northern Wisconsin. But look, even down at Little Rock, it was 36. And the satellite loop from earlier this morning shows the low clouds, those dark gray clouds leaving us. But look at the bright white clouds that are moving up the eastern seaboard. It looks rather ominous, but the bark is worse than the bite. Most of the precip will be moving offshore, and by tomorrow morning, we'll be just left with some early morning clouds. Drier air will come in. Temperatures will hold right in the 40s tomorrow with returning sunshine during the course of the day. And on Tuesday, we may fail to get any higher than the low 40s. And eventually, this weather front will be sweeping more cold Arctic air in for the middle and latter stages of the week, perhaps a few showers. More clouds around. We've said late question mark for the possibility of a few showers, but have pretty much taken that out of the forecast. Tomorrow, some morning clouds, but gradually becoming sunny, holding in the 40s. And as you'll see in the 5-day forecast, we may struggle just to get out of the lower 40s on Tuesday. And basically, 40s is where we will be just about the entire work week. Again, normal high, mid to upper 50s. So a taste of real fall or early winter, shall we say.
Good morning. Welcome to this Monday edition of AM Weather. I'm Wayne Winston.
And I'm Joan Von Ahn. Well, winter-like weather has invaded much of the nation. Let's start out this morning by taking a look at the location of the jet stream. And as we do, we'll be able to see what's bringing that winter-like weather to the central part of the nation. The jet comes out of the North Pacific, spills over the top of a ridge of high pressure out in the west, then it dives sharply into the southern plains, bringing colder air into the central and eastern part of the nation before it turns back northward into eastern Canada, and a subtropical jet is bringing moisture into the southeast. Let's put this picture in motion, and we find high pressure in the western part of the nation, though the Pacific Northwest systems will be pushing into the northwestern corner of the nation, keeping the west mostly milder and on the dry side. An upper trough in the central part of the nation, surface high centered over the plains. This is keeping cool conditions to the central and eastern part of the nation. Let's turn our attention now to our U.S. sequence of pictures, and we find that deep low was centered over Hudson Bay, and the trough of low pressure extended through the Great Lakes. Snow fell during the day yesterday across the Great Lakes through the Midwest and into northwestern New York State. By the afternoon, Buffalo had picked up at least 2 inches of snow, 5 inches at West Seneca. In Michigan, Mackinac City reported 5 inches on the ground by mid-afternoon. Charlevoix had 4 inches. Cold front pushed through the eastern part of the nation over the weekend, but a weak trough lagging behind produced some scattered areas of rain along the central Atlantic coast, and then unseasonably cold air filtered into the eastern and central part of the nation as surface high pressure built across the central and southern plains. Record lows were set on Sunday morning from Montana into Minnesota, and record cold highs were also set on Sunday afternoon throughout the plains and across the Great Lakes. It only got up to 34 degrees yesterday afternoon in Amarillo, Texas, 22 at Kansas City, Missouri, only 11 at Bismarck, North Dakota, and Rockford, Illinois only reported 22 degrees. Trough across the high plains brought some windy conditions and moderating trend as Chinook winds brought the temperature in the Denver area some 20 to 25 degrees warmer on Sunday afternoon than it was on Saturday. Let's turn our attention to this morning's regional now. That will get a look at some of the snow showers across the Great Lakes. You can see some snow showers being reported along the southern end of Lake Michigan, also in western New York State along the shores of Lake Erie. Let's turn our attention to the national picture now, and we find that showers and thunderstorms were numerous along the mid and south Atlantic coast early this morning. These are moving offshore, though we still find some showers right along the mid-Atlantic coast and into New England, tops from 20 to 25,000 feet. Some snow is mixing in, though, in some of the cooler air through the central Appalachians. Then mix of rain and snow as we move westward, mostly snow showers across the Great Lakes and through the Ohio Valley. Out in the western part of the nation, we find a mix of rain and snow in the northwest through the Cascades of Oregon and Washington. Let's turn our attention now to this morning's current weather map, and we see low pressure over the Maritimes, the cold front trailing just south of Florida. Still some scattered showers, mainly offshore, and rain and drizzle across the Maritimes and along the New England coast. Fog is formed through portions of the southeast early this morning. Visibility down to 1/8 mile at Goldsboro, North Carolina, and at Kinston. Up in the Great Lakes, again, snow lowering visibilities in many spots. Snow has lowered visibilities 3/4 of a mile at Pellston, Michigan. We find high pressure, cool temperatures through the central part of the nation, some windy conditions with a trough of low pressure across the high plains. Then high pressure takes over again through much of the west, although a front is pushing into the northwest, spreading some rain and low clouds into the northern portions of Oregon through much of western Washington, and a lot of fog again through California and into southwest Oregon. Visibility...
Yes, it's going to be a lot colder than that. Overnight, I'm predicting a low of 32 in the city under, well, basically largely clearing skies, low 20s north and west. Tomorrow, a mostly sunny day, and look for a high of 45 degrees and a light northwesterly wind. All right, here's the 5-day forecast. And again, a little cold weather here, about 50 on Wednesday. Another storm may bring a little chance of rain, maybe even some snow inland areas Thursday and Friday as it drops from the high 40s to the low 40s. And then it could be a very cold weekend in the New York area. If you like an event that want me to come and visit with you, why don't you write us here at Fox 5 in charge of community events here, 205 East 67th Street, New York, 10021. And again, you never know. I'll come do the weather at your event. That's it from Times Square and the Sony Jumbotron Weather Report.